Hey guys, DJParson here, and I bring you another game of the World Championship. It's gonna be the last of the 3-player matches. And here I'm on the first position and we're up versus Bremyanat and Kelrick. You can see I already took the Roman roads, and we can of course take a look at the leaders and wonders. What do we see? Zizka. In general, not that many MAs, but a couple of Zizkas here, Kremlin, but no H2 military leaders or military action leaders. We have Bach, Nobel, Suez Canal, and Cook. And for the colonies, we also have Isabella and Eleanor. There's a Colossus maybe for that as well. Ocean Liner and Maria Theresa, Marlene, Hollywood. We also have Chaplin. We have Einstein, Sid Meier, and Mercury, and also Fleming for the Hollywood. A lot of Hollywood leaders. Alright, so yeah, I took the Roman roads. In 3 players I like that more than the Acropolis. I think it's a pretty good wonder. Then Bremyanat will take just the pyramids, which I find interesting. There's a lot of great there's a lot of great cards on the first row. So Kelrick here will take 3 cards to start. Actually, he won't. Interesting. He doesn't like Moses, apparently. So he'd rather waste 1 civil action than decide to take Moses, which I disagree with, to be honest. Yeah, Moses isn't the greatest leader, but getting him for free here is still better than all the other leaders, in my opinion. Alex here for me, then. I will elect him. We'll build a mine and increase population, so very standard. Early foray, could push that. Bremyanat takes Engineering Genius, takes Patriotism, and Homer doesn't. Interesting. Grabs Homer, doesn't elect him, doesn't build an extra mine. I guess he can just finish the pyramids next turn. So that's probably why he does it. But Homer and Patriotism, I'm not so sure about. Kelrick here goes for Ashoka and grabs the iron immediately. So these guys don't like building their second mine. I can now decide if I want to play the foray, but I decide to use Alexander instead to get that extra free yellow cube and build the lab. Then I also decide, with having the Roman roads, Mason is pretty great tech. The rest of the cards, I mean, I can't use Confucius or Caesar, and an HA Urban Growth at this point, not that great. So I could have taken Swordsman, but what do I do with the last civil action? I don't really have anything. So I decide to take a card for the second row. And there are 2 Code of Laws in the 3-player game, so almost, yeah, it's not that hard to get one of the Code of Laws. So I decide Masonry here is more important for me. I can save 2 civil actions when building the Roman roads. So I decide that is a card I like more at the moment. And I can also go for it next turn. That wouldn't have been the case with the Code. Bremyanat now goes for Homer, finishes the pyramids, grabs an Urban Growth. Interesting again. Growth A instead of the Code of Laws. Kelrick now opens development of politics. Grabs Code of Laws. Not a lot of science from him. Engineering Genius. Builds the extra lab. And that probably increases pop to get out of corruption. So a lot of high value cards in his hand. Needs science, so I like that he goes for the second lab. Still not sure about skipping the mine for now. But he does have extra production from Ashoka, so maybe that is fine. It's up to 1 extra rock and 1 extra food production thanks to Ashoka. I will open the development of civil life. I can use that to develop the masonry. Can then build 2 stages of the Roman roads. Can't finish it yet, but can finish that next turn. And then grab the irrigation, the alchemy, and the cartography. A lot of technologies here. Cartography can be really good. I have developed territory in hand, and as I said before, there is a Suez Canal, there's a Cook and Isabella and all of that stuff. And then the alchemy is really nice when you have the masonry. Upgrading the philosophies to alchemies just costing 2 rocks is pretty cheap, so I like that quite a lot. Gets extra value out of the masonry, and also gives me more science production because now I have a lot of technologies in hand. Bremyanat opens yet another development, the one of science, so 2 extra science for everybody. Let's see if he will use the extra rocks from Homer maybe this turn. Grabs the alchemy, grabs an urban growth, don't really know why he went for Homer of all the leaders. Because he's not using him. Homer, either you want to replace him really early to just get the happy face, or you have to find a way to use his extra rocks. But like this, he's just sitting there not doing much. Calric goes for the Code of Laws, finishes the Acropolis, and grabs a new one immediately. Grabs the Machu Picchu, has the Engineering Genius and an Iron and Rich Land in hand. So yeah, this is a pretty good hand to go for the Machu Picchu. So I like that quite a lot from him. Still producing 3 rocks thanks to Ashoka. I will push that colony, get the development of crafts. Finish the Roman roads. I could now go for Leonardo. I have the alchemy as well. I can go for Leonardo. We develop the alchemy. Now we develop the mason, the cartography instead, and then build an extra warrior. And then next turn I'm probably gonna go for alchemy. So this turn I don't really get anything from Leonardo. I did get the 1 extra rock. You could still argue that it wasn't the correct thing to do. I could have grabbed the breakthrough instead, and then not get the extra rocks from the cartography, but I decided to go with this, get the cartography out if there's a colony coming up in maybe 1 or 2 turns. I want that out already. Priminat will go for the alchemy upgrade as well, upgrades both of them. Once again not using the extra rocks, but gets the Code of Laws here. So he's keeping Homer for some more time. Calric goes for a trade agreement with Priminat, so no cards being pushed, can build. And finish the Machu Picchu already. That is very strong for him. Gets the irrigation here as well. He has a great start lined up. He has extra civil action. Can easily go for monarchy, so get more civil action, and then he has all the options to spend the extra rocks and food he will gain from that Machu. And for the Machu he also has the iron, irrigation and more rich lands to jumpstart his production next turn. I mean, next turn is probably going to be iron and upgrade 1 or build 1. And has a lot of food as well. Development of markets is up next. I probably take the rocks, go for the alchemy, upgrade both of those. Increase population, and I will actually have corruption, so just too much stuff. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed, but I did want to push. But yeah, now it's costing me a little bit to have not that many civil actions, and saving the rocks on the alchemy, gaining the rocks from Leonardo, of course, that is negated by having the corruption here. So not perfect. Maybe I shouldn't have gone for Leonardo. Maybe I shouldn't have elected him yet. But increase population 1 more time or something like that. Just too much stuff just lying around. Still having 2 extra food each turn thanks to the Roman roads is not helping the corruption. Pestilence is up next. I think everybody has 3 workers, and Priminat will be the first to maybe go for knights. Does develop them, can build one, so finally using the rock from Homer. I can use them 1 more time next turn, so maybe you will get some value out of Homer, and then after that go for Nostradamus. Calric grabbed Bread and Circus. He also has problems with corruption, actually builds an extra lab here. And then increase population 2 more times, so no iron for him yet. I will go up to 4 strength, doesn't want to be the weakest and is actually now the strongest. And yeah, still with Ashoka, he's still sitting on 4 rock production, so he probably would see the same problem as me. If he does upgrade his rock production and food production, might have corruption issues, so he prioritizes something else. He goes for the 3rd lab, goes for the warrior instead of the iron, and can't say I don't like that. I think it's pretty good. He also gets the Bread and Circus, so he gets a happy face solution. So yeah, I will open the Uncertain Borders. Luckily I'm not the weakest, but sadly also not the strongest. Maybe I can go for knights to become stronger, but first I will go for irrigation. And with another increase of population I will actually get out of corruption this time around, but will have to miss out on those knights. Priminat will increase pop, goes for Nostradamus, can build another knight. Does he have tactic as well? Goes for Himeji and the iron in hand. Doesn't show tactic. He will now be the strongest. 9 signs in hand as well, so maybe next turn he can go for the code. But now finally Calric can go for the iron upgrades. Will he also go for Isabella? If not, yeah, he will be losing a choke at the end of the turn, so he does go for Isabella here. Helps him with corruption definitely. Sets up a very good production, so I still think Calric is looking very, very healthy. With the Machu Picchu going strong. We go into H2. I will decide not to push. I'm the weakest. I think maybe I played a rebellion. At least I'm building a lab, a religion here to not have to worry about that. Biggest problem is still the civil actions. I do decide to build an extra mine because I have a lot of population, so that can work. Instead, I could have maybe gone for the monarchy, but now we are going into H2, and there's a lot of governments in 3-player games. So I probably rather spend my science on H2 governments and not on the old monarchy here. Especially because I couldn't go for it last turn. Briminat here is not ready actually for the turn of the ages. He has to destroy the warrior, which is never what you really want. He did go for the iron. Can upgrade 1, still with good science production, and will get his rock production up eventually, but no food and no happy faces. Calric opens the Reign of Terror. I will lose a population. Sadly, I don't have free population, but maybe I can just destroy the extra agriculture that I have. So it's not the biggest deal for me, but also, of course, not great. Calric goes for Bread and Circus. Will maybe upgrade some more. Yeah, upgrades 1 more iron. Grabs a printing press. Just fixing or upgrading some of the things, going for the happy faces. I will push another colony, and we get our first colony. Sadly, not able to win it. Calric will take it for 7+. That is relatively expensive. Let's see what he has to spend. 3 rocks, 3 cards, and a warrior. Still good for him, but at least it did come at a cost. So if there's more colonies, and there's definitely one, I should be able to win it. Because Calric had to spend most of his cards. And yeah, now I go for the Republic. As I said, there are a lot of H2 governments. I have the necessary science, so I will go for the Republic here. Can go for Maria Theresa as well. Elector already. Get extra science from her. Increase population. And build an extra warrior. So yeah, Maria has some issues. Mainly the military actions. I don't have a lot of military actions. Have to hope to get the strategy, maybe the Kremlin, but that is definitely a worry for me. I could have stayed with Leonardo maybe, could have maybe gone for journalism or something like that, but with my relatively healthy yellow bank and also with a vast territory being in there, that is the colony that I pushed, Maria has some great value and can hopefully help me with military as well. Briminat goes for 1 stage of the Himeji, grabs an engineering genius, finally goes for the Code of Laws, architecture and patriotism. Will reveal his tactic, but he doesn't fulfill it yet. But if he gets another knight, he will get quite the strength. Push. Calric opens new deposits. Okay, that's a lot of rocks for Calric, 8 extra for him. Can he find a way to spend all of this? There's a scientific method. Yeah, that will be great for him. He can develop that, upgrade 2 of them. And now he's looking even stronger than he was before. He doesn't. That's... Okay, wants to be the strongest here. Well, of course, that's a fine decision. Usually you would probably upgrade another philosophy to scientific method to just get more science, but he wants to be the strongest, so he increases pop and builds an extra warrior. And then next turn probably upgrades the last 2 of his laboratories. I will grab myself a Statue of Liberty that can really help me with my yellow bank. Is also great together with the Republic, because now I get 2 extra culture production. Is also really good with Maria, so a lot of value from that. Can increase population twice if I want to. We'll grab a cannon here, build a free warrior, and grab cavalrymen. Of course, I want new military techs. I'd probably prefer to have riflemen, then I could each turn upgrade a rifleman for free with the extra rocks from Maria Theresa. But yeah, cannon and cavalrymen are also very important, and with how this is setting up, I have too many warriors. Hopefully I can send some of them away for the colonies, and then upgrade to cannons or cavalrymen. And also I do get a lot of colonies here. Inhabited is again very, very great for me. Of course the autonomous could be great with the Suez Canal, so probably holding on to that one, but having another one to push next turn is also pretty good. Breminat will finish the Himeji and immediately grab the Eiffel Tower. So grabs breakthrough. So okay, yeah, of course grabbing the Eiffel Tower caused a lot of civil actions, so he can't do much else. Calric will open the Knowledge of the Ancients, 3 signs for me, and for most everybody else as well. An extra rock for Breminat, but not the biggest difference. Calric here gets a Conmon on 1, has exactly the signs he needs. Grabs Cavalryman, Gaudi, probably upgrade to, he's looking strong. 9 science, 8 rocks and 4 food. Very healthy yellow bank, he did get that developed, hasn't gone through a lot of his yellow bank yet. Of course he is behind in culture, but this is a super strong position, exactly what you want. Getting the early Machu after that, or finishing the Machu Picchu early, then upgrading to the necessary infrastructure buildings, and then getting an early scientific method to upgrade all of his philosophies, getting the Conmon here. He is having a great game. Very nicely played for him. I now will probably play that Inhabited. Good Harvest. Another great card from Maria, so I'm getting value out of Maria. I get the strategy here as well, so my military actions are looking fine now. Can also go for the Rifleman. Develop that, increase population, and then maybe upgrade at least 1 warrior or build a new one. Also works fine. Build a new one for just 2 rocks because I did get the extra rocks from Maria. So Maria is really giving me a lot of extra military rocks, so that I of course have the lowest production with 4 rocks. But if I get 3 rocks each turn with Maria, I'm sitting on 7, so then that's very, very good for me, of course. Biggest problem is that it's just going into infantry. At least now it's rifleman. I can upgrade a warrior each turn. And of course I'm the strongest for now, so maybe I only will be getting 1 rock from Maria. But at least I have found a way to use these warriors that I've built up, upgrade them to riflemen, and then use them later on with the cavalrymen, with the cannons, to go for better tactics. There's the Suez Canal that I probably want next turn. Look out for that. Breminat will just finish the Eiffel Tower. Also will go for the Rifleman growth, and maybe builds a warrior, not... Okay. Builds a warrior, shows the classic army. I'm not the biggest fan of showing the classic army this early on. I mean, he's not even fulfilling it right now. Sure, he has the problem that he only has 2 military actions, so he can't hold on to a lot of cards. So maybe it's the correct move, but giving this early on, I mean, Calric can't go for it really. I can though. So of course I'm happy that at least there's, if I don't do any other tactic, I can just copy the classic army, go for cavalryman and use my infantry as well. Yeah, but maybe it's not a wrong decision from Breminat, depending on the cards that he has in his hand. Calric now goes for cavalryman, has a lot of food, a lot of rocks, can increase population 4 times he wants to, has 3 free population just sitting there, builds 2 cavalrymen, 3 cavalrymen, also grabs cannon, then reserves. Yeah, I mean, at least that enables Maria for me again, so I'm kind of happy about this. I will push, we get the call to arms, I can draw 1 strategic territory, so another territory. Can upgrade another rifleman for free, can grab that Suez Canal, increase population. Need to get out of corruption by increasing population a couple of times, get the extra culture, get the extra science from Maria, and then I have sadly not enough. I will be having 10 rocks next turn, so sadly that's not enough for the Suez. So there is an argument to be made not to go for the Suez right now. I don't have any colonies yet, but with the autonomous in hand and more colonies in the deck, as well as having cartography and colonization cards, it's hard to argue not to go for the sewers here, especially because I also haven't upgraded my rock production, so it is a pretty great wonder for me that I want to win. Bring it up now. Will he push? No, he won't. He will develop the rifleman, increase population, and I build one, use the patriotism here, builds a rifleman, goes up to 14 strength, gets a selective breeding as well, so he will be able to upgrade his food. And sitting on a lot of science. Interesting that he didn't go for the Conmon. Maybe he thinks it's not going to get taken away, and that is not necessarily a wrong assessment. Conmon, I mean, Kelvik already has one. Will I really spend probably 2 or maybe even, yeah, probably 2 civil actions on denying that Conmon? Probably not, and then Briminat gets it next turn for just 2 civil actions, or maybe even just 1, so it is maybe good for him. Vast territories opened, and I finally am able to win my first colony for a warrior and 2 cards. So very cheap, very great value from Maria will be had here. So that is very nice for me. Kelric goes for Gaudi here, builds another religion, builds a religion, wants to also build a printing press, so Gaudi will be giving him 4 extra culture production. That's quite a lot from an H2 leader. Denies team sports, I guess, grabs patriotism. I mean, maybe he also wants to go for the team sports. And he actually also doesn't have a tactic. I was, of course, worried here. He did spam 3 cavalrymen, did grab the cannon. If he had the mobile artillery, he would be looking at very, very dangerous military. But him now spending 2 military actions to copy the classic army that he can't even fulfill, really, only outdated with the warriors, because he doesn't have riflemen. It's not as scary as it could have been, so that is a good sign for me in Briminat. If Kelric had been able to just put all of his rocks into cannons and then destroy us with military, that wouldn't have been so pretty for us. Freedom of movement, opened by me. Don't know what I will be using that for. Looks like I put a warrior to alchemy. I will go for justice system to help me with the corruption, for example. Go for that. I have great blue text at the moment. Use the 3 rocks for Maria. Start building on the sewers. Next turn I can finish it. And then I can increase population 2 more times. A lot of population just sitting around. Grab the breakthrough here. And then, yeah, next turn I will get more rock production from the sewers. At this point, I want to find a way to use these free population, of course. We have reached a point where it's basically too much population, too many guys just sitting around. At least I do, for every population that I increase, I get a science, I get a culture from Maria, but I want to find somewhere to put them. Maybe even build more bronze mines, which doesn't feel super great, but it can still be useful. But in H3, obviously, building bronze mines isn't what you really want. Briminat now will open refugees. Sadly, I'm the weakest. I will lose the population. That's not a big deal for me. Losing the culture isn't great, but the biggest problem is that Kelric will gain what I lost. Briminat now indeed did get the corn mod for just 1 civil action. Also gets Nobel. Can even go for food production. And grabs the rich land. So yeah, it's a relatively healthy economy, not a super great one. So if you look at his position compared to Kelric's, Kelric definitely is the stronger one. He's just got everything that Briminat has, but a little bit more. But Briminat doesn't have a bad situation right now. Talking of Kelric, he will push. We get Inhabited, which I'm also able to win for a rifleman, some more population. I mean, yeah, I will. The great part is that I can rebuild my army with their extra rocks from Maria. So Maria is definitely the MVP of this game for me. And of course, every colony that I gain here will give me extra rock production next turn when I get the Suez Canal. But obviously, I have enough population, as we said before. So we'll see with how much free workers we will end up at the end of the game. Kelric goes for team sports, grabs journalism, wants some more food production, grabs a wave of nationalism. Yeah, I mean, he has different options to play this game. He could either try military, but the problem is Briminat has the Himeji Castle and also relatively healthy military, and I have Maria and also no tactic yet, so I could easily go for cannon and show the defensive army. That would give me a lot of strength. So maybe Kelric is better advised, like he's doing, not to go for military. He has a lot of science, and that is an underestimate. A lot of science, good rocks. So if he can maybe get himself in engineering and then into movies, get some more synergy from Gaudi. So I also would advise him at this point to go for culture production. He's also not behind or anything, so that is probably the way to go for him. I will push. We get terrorism, which sadly Briminat has the least of. I will go for the Suez Canal, of course. I will get the autonomous territory, and I decide to take the rocks because that's what I need the most at the moment. I will also grab the democracy here, which I can go for immediately. Also taking the way from Briminat, oh, maybe not from Briminat, but definitely from Kelric, and then get the democracy out already. Can go for cavalryman, build one with the rocks from Maria, grab revolutionary idea, and then I could either build an extra bronzeman, as I said, go to 8 rock production, or just grab another yellow card. And I do decide to go for the frugality. As I said, it's hard to justify going for the bronze mines this late. Yes, it will pay for itself in 2 turns, so it could be worth it. I'm not saying this is necessarily the right thing to do for me, to go for the frugality. Give me, I mean, of course, it gives me more population, it gives me more science and culture from Maria, but going for an extra bronze mine would give me more rocks. But I feel like, I felt like 7 rocks for now is good enough. It's already hard enough to not get into corruption with that, to have enough blue cubes to always produce everything. So yeah, maybe an extra bronze mine would have just been overkill. Briminat here goes for air forces, grabs the oil, increases population. What is his plan for happy faces? Organized religion it is, and multimedia, and reserves. Okay, just loading up on a lot of cards. Also fulfilling the tactic now, going up to 22 strength, 13 science, so he can also go for air forces. Maybe he has a war that he wants to set up. Like if he has a war and goes for war over territory against me, or even technology to take away some of my yellow tags, blue tags, and then he goes for air forces next turn. An air force with the classic army is 13 extra strength. So yeah, that would be quite problematic for me. Of course, I do have 10 rocks, and if I just build a cavalryman, I will get also the classic army, but it still wouldn't be enough to defend against Briminat. Kelric now pushes strategic territory, another one that I'm able to win for a rifleman and a card. So some extra card draw and 4 strength, as well as more rock production from the Suez Canal. So at least my colony game is going strong. And Kelric shows the modern army, which I don't like from him. I mean, he probably has enough military actions at the moment that he could hold, so I don't really see a reason to go for that. Because I, of course, know now that I can copy that next turn. So I can just go for the cannon, go for 1 rifleman, and copy the tactic next turn, and that's even better than copying the classic army. But yeah, Kelric, let's see what he can fulfill of that. Can go for the modern army. Upgrade 1. Also upgrade pro sports, develop the cannon, build a cannon going up to 28 strength. So at this point it's uncertain where Kelric wants to take this game, if he wants to make this a military push from him, or if he just wants to build up some pressure and behind this produce a lot of culture. But I actually have overtaken him in culture production thanks to that democracy. So we will have to see where Kelric wants to take this. But of course, with this tactic, and he has a lot of rocks and population, 2 modern armies is easily doable for him in a couple of turns. So yeah, we will see what his game plan is. First, we get the Ravages of Time. I have to lose the Roman roads. Not a big deal for me. Usually, of course, you don't want to lose the Roman roads because of the yellow cube, but my yellow bank is looking healthy enough, in my opinion. I will go for the cannon here. I get another 3 rocks from Maria again. Go for that cannon. Go for an extra cannon, so I actually decided not to go for the modern army. Because if you saw my video on the tactics, you actually know mechanized army, of course, is more strength per unit. Here you get 5 and here you don't. So mechanized army is slightly more efficient. I could just go for the mechanized army this turn, so I decided to do that. Got up to 30 strength, so now I'm actually the strongest. Of course, I also couldn't copy the modern army this turn, so just going for my own tactic. Yes, I waste a rifleman, but I can always later go for the modern army, of course. If I go for 1 cavalryman and 3 riflemen, then copy the modern army, I would be fulfilling that. So yeah, just becoming the strongest for now. Grabbing an urban growth, engineering genius, reserves, still a lot of population. Grab efficient upgrade and computers. I mean, there's some computer leaders, could go for Einstein or Sid Meier with the computers, with the efficient upgrade. Could have also loaded up on patriotisms and reserves. That wouldn't have been wrong. I do have a war in hand, so maybe that would have even been the correct move. On the other hand, as we said before, Birmingham has air forces and has a magic castle. Everything else, he's starting to fall behind a little bit in strength because he can't easily go for a new tactic like me and Kelrick have done. Our tactics are just a lot more efficient than his. But he has a magic castle. He does have 1 copy of the air forces. That is always a big deal. So it's going to be hard to war him. It's also hard to war Kelrick because he just has a lot of rocks and also very strong military build-up or setup. So I decide I don't want to just go all for military. I want to have the option to go for computer leaders. And that's why I set up this way. Terminat goes for oil. Grabs movies as well. Goes for organized religion. Upgrades that. Grabs reserves. So Kelrick will actually get 2 patriotisms and military build-up here if he wants to. As well as democracy, civil service as options. He's still sitting on 24 science, so look out for his turn now. I mean, Brimnard's turn here, relatively early oil. I think I like that, getting more rocks here, keeping up with me and Kelrick. And getting the happy faces up, not so sure about the movies. But of course, Brimnard has the problem that he's falling behind in culture. And wants to find a way to regain a little bit of culture production. He already had the multimedia, so I'm not sure about the movies. Maybe instead of movies, he should have grabbed patriotism or military build-up. Maybe even both. That would have been great. But yeah, the rest is pretty standard. Getting the oil out is also great. And actually, we will see a war. War of a territory from Kelrick on Brimnard. Brimnard will go for communism. Develops that. Builds another pro sports. Grabs the military theory, can develop that as well, and upgrading 1 warrior will fulfill the tactic, and he's going up to 45 culture. Gets only 1 patriotism, no military build-up, so I can maybe go for that. And yeah, Kelrick is setting up this game. As I said earlier, he had the option, he could have tried to go for more culture, but Birmingham just took away his movies. If that had stayed, maybe Kelrick would have decided to go for the movies, go for Fleming, and try with culture, but here now, he could have even gone for democracy as well. Then he would have had a really, really strong culture game going, but here he feels like he probably has a H3 war already, and he just feels like that is a better way to close out this game, to get some more culture instead of trying to scramble up some culture production buildings. I will also go for war of a culture here on Brimnard. Brimnard apparently not ready to defend these. We'll go for an extra cannon, another cannon with the reserves. Can even go for another cavalryman, so 49 strength. Grab Marie Curie. Go for her. Can go for computers and upgrade 1, so I will not be getting that much from her. I will be getting 3 culture and 3 strength, which is not bad. Sadly, I'm not set up for Fleming or Marlene. Maria Theresa has done a lot for me, but she won't be doing much more going forward. I am the strongest, so I don't get as many rocks from her. And of course, I have gone through most of my yellow bank. I don't produce that much anymore. So getting just the 3 culture from Mercury and of course 3 strength is pretty great to go for new leader. Even upgrading 1 more computer, perhaps civil service and not the military buildup but the rockets instead. So yeah, 52 strength for me and the War of a Culture. Brimunat can go for 1 air force. Oh no, he can't. Yeah, he spent the science on the oil. That left a big opening. He can destroy a lot of things and build a new army, but that's probably still not enough. So yeah, maybe the oil was a mistake. Shouldn't have gone for that. Should have had the science from air forces. But yeah, this will now be very hard for him to defend 2 wars at the same time. And he actually just decides to resign here. So me and Kelrick will get 7 culture each. And the wars will be removed. So yeah, not that often that you see in tournaments players resigning. But I think in this position it was the correct move for Brimunat. There was no chance for him to continue and win this game or not come in last, I think. Maybe a very, very slim chance that he could have somehow survived and then me and Kelrick would have warred each other. But yeah, going for the War of Culture for me probably was enough for him to lose all of his culture and then there was no more chance. So I think I can respect this move. I almost expected it. I wanted to get a war out there so that not only Kelrick could steal a lot of yellow cubes, but I thought if he doesn't resign, I want my culture, but I'm fine with this outcome and I can respect the decision from Brimunat. Politics of Strength is a nice timing. This means I will draw cards and Kelrick won't. So we are down into a 2-player game now, of course. Yeah, we both have a lot of strength. I don't think wars will be that easy because Kelrick has patriotisms and reserves in hand. Culture-wise, we're pretty close, so we are in a very interesting match here. Kelrick develops the journalism. Wonders will also play a big role. We have Empire State and Internet will be gone. We have Hollywood, and then we have United Nations and Manhattan Project. So there are still all the wonders left. But Kelrick for now will just go for 1 extra journalism and grabs the Internet here. Okay. 7 rocks plus a few. So actually is not ready to go for a new army. At least not, I guess he can go for an outdated one. This is also not too bad. An outdated army is still 7 strength, so 2 warriors and a cannon. He has enough rocks for that. And I decide not to go for war here. I will get the Cold War. Some more science for me. And now I probably want to find a way to score more culture. And that is actually a problem for me. I don't have any culture buildings. And there's 1 movies left, so it's not on the deck at the moment. And besides that, it's really not that easy for me to score extra culture. Hollywood is not an option for me either, so I can't just spend my civil actions this turn to grab a wonder. So yeah, let's see what I've tried to find to make something possible. I will go for pro sports, build 1, increase population. Probably grab the reserves because I have to be ready for the wonder. At least I have your engineering genius, which is very important. So I have enough rocks to finish a wonder. Kelrick could finish the turn probably. He has a lot of civil actions if I remember correctly. Yeah, he could probably end the game. So let's see what he does here. He will push. We get emigration, but nothing happens. There's the United Nations. Grabs computers. Develops them, grabs pro sports, develops that as well. He will actually run out of time here for Gaudi and doesn't go for Sid Meier. So he will try to get a big internet and then probably next turn, yeah, next turn he can go for Sid Meier. Sid Meier of course will also be good for the internet. So you will get a big internet in general. And of course he takes 1 extra card, so the next turn will be the last for me and for him in the following one. So H4 starts, he loses Gaudi, but he can go for another leader next turn. I will push Impet of Wonders, we get Impet of Science, 0 to 10, sadly. He had 4 more with the extra computers. I, on the other hand, at least I'm ready to go for the United Nations, so I can grab that. I can, with the Engineering Genius, build the first stage and then use the reserves, build a religion. finish the United Nations for 16. Can I get also an impact? Yes, input of happiness, 12 to 10, so 2 extra from me. Not the biggest deal, and it's getting really close here, but I think his internet will just be too big for me. I can grab satellites, develop that, and that's it from me then. Let's see what Calric does. I do have a lot of extra strength, so maybe when Birmingham resigned, I should have still tried to make war happen. I don't think that was necessarily out of the question. I just had one turn and that wasn't, I probably didn't have enough rocks to build an extra 2 cannons and cavalrymen. So I sadly couldn't make the war work. And Calric now upgrades here. Goes for Sid Meier. Gets 14 culture production and 28 from the internet. That is a very big internet. And last action, probably just develop the rockets. And that's gonna be it for him. 151 culture for him. Input of government 24 to 26. Very big governments for the both of us. Next up, input of technology 24 to 20. Slightly better for Calric. Not the biggest difference. Wonders 11 to 13. One more. Input of competition 19 to 17. So yeah, with this, the last one would have to be very big. Agriculture 4 to 8, but that's not enough. So Calric takes the win here. Relatively close, but definitely a strong game by Calric. Well played from the start to the finish. And yeah, for me, I think the biggest, I mean, I don't think it was a mistake going for the war against Birmingham. Maybe I should have waited one turn, set up war against Calric, because at this point it was pretty clear that Birmingham didn't really contest us for second or first place. So maybe I could have held on to my war, set up one for the turn after that against Calric. But yeah, in the end, the biggest factor probably was that I invested slightly more into military, or that I maybe didn't get the biggest wonder. I mean, there's with only 10 culture, 12 culture difference. Small things, one better impact, something like that. If I had gotten culture production buildings, it would have been maybe different. But yeah, like this, not slightly enough. I had a great game here. It was a lot of fun playing with the Suez Canal, playing with a lot of colonies, and with Maria Theresa, getting a lot of culture, a lot of population from her. Almost able to put all of the population to good use. Just 3 sitting here at the end. But yeah, well played by Calric definitely, and yeah, almost caught him here in the end. And this will actually conclude the second stage for me. I mean, there are more 2-player games. I will not be showing you guys my 2-player matches. Every player has to play 3 2-player matches, but I will not be covering them this time around. So we can look at the result for me in this group stage in group 41. And the result was pretty good for me. You guys saw all of my 3- and 4-player games. I was able to win 1 4-player game, second position in the second one. And then the 3-player games were also pretty great. And the 2-player games were even better. I won all 3 of those. So with that, I take the group win with 33 points. That's against Calric with 17. So Calric actually coming in on position 2 here. He had some great 3-player games, as we just saw. His 4 players weren't that strong, but his 2 players were just okay. But yeah, pretty interesting here for the lower half. Yeah, for me it was a pretty great result-wise, pretty great first stage of the World Championship, which is to be expected. There's a lot of players, and obviously not all of them are on the same level. Not only talking about experience in the game, but also play skill. But that's the beauty of the World Championship, that you don't have fixed groups like in the International Championship, where you always play against players of the same caliber. But in the first stages of the World Championship, it's just very mixed, and you get some games where you sometimes are surprised by the strength of your opponents. But in general, as a more experienced player like myself, you do expect to come pretty far in the first couple of rounds. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the first round of games in the World Championship number 2, and of course I will be showing more in the second one. I don't know when that will start. All the groups, or almost all. One group is just almost finished, The rest of the groups have finished their games. It's too many to really look at the results and look who's made it and who hasn't. I won't be doing that. That would be a lot of work going through all of them. I just gonna expect that most great players made it to the next round. I think half of the players, so the top 2 players of each group, come to the next round. So that's still going to be a lot of players. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for the next stage of this tournament. Hope you guys are as well, and see you for the next one.